I don't care. I don't care. It's my responsibility. And besides, I really resent you characterizing it as a Dr. Seuss hat. It was handmade by an artist. It's I don't know. It's what do you call it? Wool. I don't know. The way she does it is remarkable, and I like the hat, and I'm gonna wear it. Not every day, but today this was my choice. Yeah, just yeah. Close the door. Close. Sorry. Um, Hi, this is Rick Harsh. Um, you know, sometimes it's best to just lock yourself in your room and do what you're going to do, and not involve anybody else. But I just wanted to make sure that let's just leave them anonymous. The people of this apartment would just keep it down a little so I could do this. Now it's distract. The door is still open. You heard me ask the person to shut it. Anyway, the thing is, I forgot this year to celebrate the anniversary of the fourth. That's four. That's four more, but it's just a different hand. And I don't think you can really say that's eight. That's two fours, clearly. Two different hands, two fours. It's our fourth anniversary. 4 years ago, I started Corona Samizdat Press. The story by now, I don't know if it's interesting, but I guess it would be interesting if I went into the dirty details of the slick son of a bitch in the United States who was going to publish The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas, which I have right here. Um, there were two people in the United States who were. Oh, this is the old Corona Samizdat version. This was the first book that we published, along with Walk Like a Duck, which is not within striking range right now. But this was the main one. I wanted to get it out because Chris Villa said he would review it and read it. Maybe not in that order. I hope not. But he did give it a nice review and a second nice review. He included it in a review video about his top 10 big books, and so it's really good that I got it out there. But the thing is, I had to get the book back from a publisher who was conning me, basically. He kept saying that, you think this should be down a little, don't you? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure how this hat should be worn. If you think it looks a little like a Dr. Seuss hat, well, you've got good company. It'll be over, a couple hours. Everything will be fine. It'll calm down. But the thing is, I got the idea that this guy was not going to publish the book. It was the fifth publication date that he canceled, and I don't know why he's told me the truth ever, but he did finally tell me that he was like 900 in debt to his printer, and he didn't have the kind of press that he could quickly sell his way out of trouble, with so I decided, I've got to I've got to print it here, and I went to someone I had worked with here and printed a couple of my books in translation, and he put me onto a really great printer, and the books were done in 5 days. 5 days. I went and got this and Walk Like a Duck in 5 days. But I didn't have a lot of money, so I could barely do it. But I was able to. I borrowed some money from a friend, and I've paid him back now. Never forget that gesture. But the first decision was, well, if we have to have a press. and it was at the very beginning of the Corona thing, or near the very beginning, and you know, that I knew that would play some role in the operations and success or failure of the press, and I wasn't really too concerned about that. I just wanted to get this damn thing finally in print, and so it is. But then another guy, this one not a slick son of a bitch. He might be slick, but he's not a son of a bitch. Jim Gower, who runs Zero Gram Press, eventually bought this. So now the reason we started our press is this book that's no longer available from our press. You have to get it from Jim Gower. I don't. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have the Zero Gram in this room, but it looks the same. It's a little lighter, I think, a little more white, and or maybe that's this one. It's hard to tell. I don't have actually. I have two from Corona Samizdat, and they're slightly different in shade. But then the I was talking to David Barterman, and he had a book ready to go, which is The Angel of Sodom, or Angel of Sodom, and it begins with the short novel Angel of Sodom, and then there are 13 short stories. Loved it, and we had talked a bit, and we came up with the agreement that it would be time. It's time to bring back the pocketbook, but I didn't have the money, and then I got some money, and that having to do with another book, and I was paid money, and it didn't. The deal fell through for whatever reasons. But I got money anyway. It was a nice gesture on the part of the press that took the book and then didn't publish it. And that book is Arjun and the Good Snake, and so that's now available from our press. So when I got money from them, I was just literally jumping up and down and yelling, "We're going to publish Vardaman. We can publish Vardaman." So we published Angel of Sodom. Then there were a couple of people who I had promised if I got going, I would publish their books. And one of them turned into a big mistake. And I didn't really like the book that much, but I had promised. And the person in question was a good enough writer at times, but the sensibilities were not any that I could support. The topic of the book, I never did feel comfortable with it, but we published it, and we published Bori Proper, a Slovene writer, his Cynicism Management. He was the other one that I promised. And then in between, it's remarkable how these things work. I was thinking, well, the books that went out of print, those are all in this book, the Driftless trilogy, my first three novels published separately, and they went out of print. And so a friend of mine did the typography, and he managed to, it's a bit small print, but it's very clear. He's a good typographer, and this is not Zach. This is pre-Zach, and pre-Zach Tanner, and Zach Tanner comes up in the segment today where I talk about how if you do something, you take action, and just trust the elements. Chances are, if you just you deal honestly, you refrain from becoming a capitalist businessman, and work for the good of the writers, good things happen. And one of the first was Jeff Percy publishing Unidentified Man at Left of Photo, an award-winning book that won no awards. There's no way that book should have gone without awards. And let me see if I can reach it. I'll be back. I am here, I guess. Okay. Um, One of my favorite covers to this day, the llamas of Prince Edward Island, apparently. And, if you're not familiar with this book, become familiar with it. But another excellent book. But we were still learning. We made the pocketbook size, and we're still at that size. But we weren't doing the typography for every book. The typography here, I don't know if Jeff did it or if our borrowed typographer we borrowed from the publisher here. I don't know, but it's a little small. But I read it. I guess if you have problems with your eyes, you're probably very concerned with the typography of a book. Well, this is probably the last of the mini books. But again, it's easy for me to read, and others. I think Chris Villa, when he reviewed it, he had trouble reading it because of the size. So I think that's why I'm associating it with that. But I realize that if I say, yeah, boy, we fucked up here, maybe nobody's going to buy it. They'll wait for the large print version. Well, we did one large print version. We sold none. But I did it for Chris Villa, Angel of Sodom. I don't know if he ever read it. But we only published the novella, but we did it in the large print version. And that's the kind of thing that you can do if you run a press and you're prepared to do it with a sense of joy and so on. And it's all one of the great things. Let me just babble a bit about the press. One of the greatest things about this is that you see a young writer never published before, and you tell him, look, you're not going to make any money here, although you could. Friedenberg has done extremely well, selling over 1,000 copies now of Cult of the Cactus Boots, a diagnostic. America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots, a diagnostic. And let me make this a diversion, a discursion, maybe. The black and white has not been terribly popular. And I actually, somebody asked me, I think about 2 months ago, are you going to do, is this all that's available? You're never going to do the green one again, the original green. Do I have one copy sitting here? No, that's probably another theme in this celebration. This is a celebration. It's a celebratory hat, a Dr. Seuss book. Do you like this hat? That. Do you know that one? What is the name of that one? Anyway, do you like this hat? It's one of my favorite Dr. Seuss's. The reason to have children is to return to Dr. Seuss, and that's where I read it. So what we're going to do this year, we have a lot of these left. Soon, hopefully sometime in May, we're going to print or have printed the green covers, and they will just go on here like a dust jacket would. And so we'll have the original green by my new printer. The old printer went out of business, which is a shame. But the new printer is every bit as good. And although he's got a much bigger operation, he's very nice on a personal level. And so I've asked him if we can do this, and he said sure, and that we can afford. I would have no idea how many to order. That's been a problem, something to learn here. We have now 3 books out of print, and sales have been pretty low since the middle of January, and so we're behind on everything. But being behind is not really an issue, because all we have to do, there's Phil talking to Jeff. Hi, Jeff. That's really what he looks like, too. It's amazing. Jeff is a fantastic illustrator. Yeah, wouldn't you like to have that on your wall or in your barn? Um, so that's how we're going to handle Cult of the Cactus Boots. How soon will it be done? I don't know. I don't know. So that's what we're going to do. And where did I discurse from? I discursed from the Jeff Bursey found the press. I had talked to him a couple times, and he's a guy who's published Dalkey Archive quality books. I don't know how he came to publish, for instance, his novel Verbatim, which is a masterpiece of a very specific kind. You look into it if you'd like to. The press that published it was an international press and an unusual one. I don't know anything about this. I've never talked to him about the story, and he's in Canada, for God's sake, and in Edmonton. That's like a different world, and so he's up there. We communicate, but I've never talked to him, and he can't just hop over here like the people in Buffalo, the cactus people. They better hop over here soon, and I think they can. But from Edmonton, it's like twice the distance, and time, and money, and I don't know. Well, the point is that just operating in good faith with people, and I was talking about the young readers or writers who, for instance, let me see who's the first one that I see who we brought. Yeah. Okay, I don't take submissions, and but occasionally a submission kind of ekes through. I read a few pages of somebody's work, and I read a few pages of this book, and I said, send me more, And it turned out to be a really great book, and all readers seem to agree. He had the cover ready, and so I always tell when I was on the point of money, and you're not going to make a lot of money with a small press or with a book. If you're a writer, you better be ready to just not ever make any money from your books, but you might. It's possible. But the thing is to get the thing in print. And my view is always make sure every decision you make is one you like. And so I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to, if I hated this cover, and I don't, I like this cover. But if I'll show you a great cover in a minute that puts most covers to shame. If I hated this cover, and he said this is the cover I want, this is the cover he'd get. But I always like the covers, and there's always Zach Tanner working on the covers with the author, and this is a great book with a nice cover. And when I go to the printer, I get to see it. He lives in Australia, so I don't know how long it took his books to even get to him, but I'm selling them here, and I'm playing with them. I'm getting them out of the boxes, putting them on the shelves, and I get to really enjoy all these brand new books. And sorry, authors, but it takes a while. Recently, the gracious Gary Amdahl published we republished his Across My Big Brass Bed, and there's a bunch of them. Here's one. Okay, yeah, and we had to change the cover because the other one was a bigger book, and we fucked the typography, and so we owed Gary a new book. And it probably the whole time it should have been a pocketbook, and this is now a great book all around. His back cover was different, and we just couldn't really managed to just put a photo on the back. But I love his photo on the front. And Zach came up with the idea of, doing a sort of semi-repeat of it. But, we also have words we have someone decided to put on there. And, the spine, all this. Yeah, that's another one that, I wonder how the literary world misses people like Gary Amdahl, because a fair reading of the writers of the United States and Canada and England and Australia, the English native writers, there would be, let's say, 50 names from the last few decades that everybody knows. And let me think. Thomas McGuane was really big for a while, but I don't hear his name much anymore. But I won't forget it. He's a quality writer, and then there's the people like Don DeLillo that occasionally write a fat book that puts them in a fat category. But I don't think that there aren't many of people that I would put ahead of Gary Amdahl, for instance, or Jeff Bursey. But these people have been around a while. They've dealt with the New York, Hollywood writing scene. And another one is Lee D. Thompson, and they come to a press like ours because they don't have to, they can do what they want, and they don't have to go through all the bullshit that you have to go through if you want to make money or be a little bit famous. And so what that meant was we ended up having all these fortuitous things happen, like finding that Chandler Broussard was out of print and that Stephen Moore has the time and energy and love of literature and Chandler Broussard, that we ended up getting permission to bring him back into print. And of all the things that we've done, that is rivaled as an accomplishment only by the publication, the first correct, genuine English language full publication of Roberto Arlt's 20th century masterpiece. I was lucky enough to have a Colombian writer help me through the process and check on some things for me. And so this is what Stephen Moore did for us and Chandler Broussard, Roberto Segroff of Colombia did for Arlt, to make sure we get what Arlt wanted. And, as far as we could tell. With this man, Chandler Broussard, the thing is, Moore knew this guy. And so he could tell us pretty simple things like, I don't really think that's a great title, but it's Broussardian. And maybe I'll try to explain that in an upcoming review that I want to do of his daughter's poetry book that we published, and that has, it's not strictly the daughter of Broussard writing, but if you know the story, then it's fascinating. We also have in another book, we have another Broussard's book, we have an afterword by his daughter, Iris, and she wrote this tremendous afterword, which was about life with Daddy. and very humane, because this guy was not an easy daddy. Big drinker, fighting with mom a lot, and just a fascinating story. It's in the book. Which book was that? Here it is. The Double Dealers. Which has a Jekyll and Hyde theme, and that's why Zach put this together. The color, the off. I don't know what it's off. It's off white, off gray. It's off. Look, there's a baseball card in here. Wilson Contreras when he was catching for the Cubs. Things happen when you put things into print. The next one that I want to talk about, maybe the last one, just so this doesn't go on all that long, is the printing of the quixotic printing of two writers from Colombia, and trusting, like I did with Robert Stickley. Stickley's novel has, that's the, besides the Cactus Boots, that's one novel that's definitely going to be going down in history as one of the great novels published in the earlier part of the 21st century. There's just no question. Sales are good, but not great. We're in Slovenia. We mail books all over the world, but we don't got nothing to do with Amazon, and we have no distribution. We don't have the money to properly promote our books. So anyway, the idea here is we've got two novels from these Colombian writers, and I got the feeling that there's something going on. This guy, Adolfo Bilfuerte, was very interested in Cactus Boots because he wondered how much like this book, Anatomio del Abismo, by Roberto Segroff, who wrote this fat book called Anatomio del Abismo, and we got no way to translate it. We've got no connection to public funds right now. That may come in the future, but my thought was, well, let's print them, and in the same number we'd print other books, and so we still have boxes, especially of this one, because it's so big that this you can fit 100 copies in 2 or 3 boxes. This one, no. So I have full boxes left of Anatomio. And look at that cover. I love that cover. It's an artist that Segroff knows, and that she does all of his covers, apparently. And, there's something about spooky rabbits. We got Suggestion Diabolique by David Vardaman, has a spooky rabbit of a photo. It's a photo of a spooky rabbit that's made with this material by this artist, Katya Berlina from Kyiv. Anyway, so you got, look at the back. Now, what are we supposed to make of that? I don't know, and I'm afraid to ask. So I printed them. I thought, well, maybe we'll sell some books in Spain eventually, and I think we've sold fewer than 10 of each in almost 2 years. It's more than a year and a half. But the unbelievable thing is that both of them are now translated, and they will be published in translation as soon as we can, before the end of the year. I'm now working with the translator of Anatomio and with Roberto Segroff on the translation. Just looking it over and actually mostly proofreading. It looks like the translator did a great job. There'll be some word choice issues, I think, and very little else. And both Adolfo and Roberto speak excellent English, but they really can't take their own books and translate them like some can. I think Carlos Fuentes was one who did his own translating at some point late in his career. And they I don't know, there's a feel for the language. I think he translated about 10 pages of Anatomio for me, and compared to what this translator did, there's the life of the writing isn't there. It doesn't vibrate with life. Roberto's, but the translator's job does. And in each case, the translator is doing it for the experience, or one of them might is using it for school. Um, so we got lucky. But the principle is just do it and see what happens. And I mentioned a cover that beats all covers. I wouldn't say it's the absolute best cover, but it's extraordinary. And this is Zach Tanner's Margie and the Atomic Brain, and it's this is how long do you think it is? 559 pages. It's volume one. Now, I'm not sure how serious he is about making it 5 volumes long or 6, but he's on the second volume now. And, there's going to be, we had the idea to make cover art for the back. So when you have 3 of them on the shelf, it'll have one full picture. And anyway, the color is great, and the prose is really amazing, and the story, more than anything, is what's amazing. This is obviously something that's been in his mind a long time, and it covers every topic that you can derive from this cover, and the title. And it's it's not the kind of book I would have normally picked up, so I'm really lucky. Here's the next 2 covers. If nothing changes, my favorite is the monkey here. You can see that it's a well, it's a reason I can't retire. That's for sure. I got to finish this, and it's hard to tell someone, come on, Zach, let's get going on this book, because 600 page books. I don't know. It took me 2 years to write Eddie Vegas, a 600 or 700 page book, depending on who's the designer of the book, the size of the book. The one I showed you is 715 pages, maybe. That's 2 years. I can't expect Zach to go faster than that, So I have to stick around, and I'm going to try my best. We have I have to mention one other person, because I just saw his book here and I thought, God damn, how does he get overlooked? This is White Mythology by W.D. Clark, and he's a quiet master of literature. Another one of those people who would be in the conversation with all the other great writers of the last 20 to 30 years. I don't know his life story. I have 2 of his books, and I know he's nearing the end of a bigger book. It might have to be a 2-volume book. I'm not sure, but that's something to really look forward to. W.D. Clark is he's also an Amdahl fan, and it was through him that we got Gary Amdahl. So a lot of these connections are occurring during the writing of America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots. Phil and Jeff, well, Phil, I mentioned this book to him probably just very randomly. I picked it off my shelf. It didn't look like this. It looked like a school textbook, which is what it was. It was written by this philosopher here, David Miller, who was my professor. So somehow something clicked with Phil, and a couple days after I showed him a photo of that book, he showed me a photo of that book. I don't know if he had actually found it and had it, or I don't remember the exact nature of it, but David Miller ends up playing a big role in this book, as do I as author of Eddie Vegas. And so we decided, I don't know whose idea it was, but they did the work. Phil and Jeff put the philosophy of creativity into pocket form and added some new Zen-like philosophical pieces by David Miller. For instance, he called them spontaneous promptings. Here's prompting. Let's see. I want a picture that is very clear. Okay. That Jeff Walton did a drawing for each one. And the secret is now out. In each of these drawings, there's a hidden cactus. Let's see if I can find this one. Is it the crotch? I don't know. It might be the robot crotch, the anatomical or the anatomy class or drawing class. I don't know. Somewhere in here there is one. I'm bad at these games. My daughter can spot them like this, and that's amazing to me. But yet another connection, and just to top it all off, Jeff and Phil visited with their families. I think they visited David Miller in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is where I knew him, and it was a really, really amazing event. So the literature is part of what's going on. We have also, I won't talk a lot about the film that we're doing. We're nearly done. We have one major scene to do, and then the rest is post-production. And in fact, tonight, the reason I'm wearing this hat is because this hat is in the scene that we're doing tonight. But I don't know if my face will be. Describe that some other time when it's a more concrete availability, so I could show you things. I will do a long one on the film that the director will help me film, and he'll splice in bits of the movie. So I think we should do that. We have a trailer, and I've made it available here, but I think that it'd be good to talk about the making of a film, two of us, and it's a feature-length film. The film, we've had nothing but good reactions to what we show, and I think the director's a genius. It's black and white, filmed very well. I think we're going to do a good job with the music, and the music is very important to every film. And we don't have the money to get whatever we want, but we're going to take a chance on one that should be available to the public. But we'll talk about that another time. So this is Corona Samizdat. This is me unabashedly expressing my something more than contentment with how the press has gone. Things happen. I didn't know that I was going to write this during the assassination of Olaf Palme. I didn't know that I was going to write this when I started the press. Maybe aspects of it were in mind, but this became one of my favorite books, and we printed it as I was writing it, so it was in 2 volumes, but somehow I made a mistake, and all we have are the volume 2. We have a shitload of volume 2 and no volume 1s. I mean, one. I keep it on my balcony. And I also thought that it really should just be one big book. And then one day, me and the director of the film were in Ljubljana, and we saw, this is in a shop window in Ljubljana. It's an iron lung. And then he took this photo, and it just seemed perfect for the cover of this book. I will come back to this book in a video coming up soon. Someone asked me if I would do a video on my top whatever history books, and I've been thinking about that since, and I think I'm going to have to do it bit by bit. So here I'm almost up to 40 minutes, but that one, I think the first one will be on Fernand Braudel's the Mediterranean in the age of Philip II, I believe it's called, and my absolute number one history book. And I don't know if I have it. I hope I do. The problem is that the all of this is Corona Samizdat, downtown. I mean, this is the central area of Corona Samizdat, and this is my bedroom. It happens to be a large bedroom. For whatever reason, they put a big bedroom in this apartment, and a big enough one for the children through that wall. So it's so big that I got this giant desk, and it's a separate space. But we're now working on getting a city sponsored space for a sort of studio for Corona Samizdat, and I think we'll get one because we not only can display books and work out of there and so on, but we will more importantly for the community will be the film aspect. People are welcome to take part in any aspect of the filming, other than the anything that the director should control, and a lot of all of the actors are local actors in the film, and so even if they want parts in a film, if they want to learn aspects of making a film, there will be seminars by our director, and so and the best places that are now available, that one of which we hope to get, is right near a square that has this church that's almost entirely one blank white wall, and we can screen films there. The editor, Sasha Muniza, is known around the coast as someone who had movie nights for 15 to 20 of the last 20 years. He's had movie nights regularly showing movies from all over the world. He introduced me to Sean Sono and many others, and he's a great film mind. And so we can have film nights right by our offices. So, but we may not get them. Maybe it'll just be here. And I have my dog is asleep right back behind me. Hello, Suleiman. And I even put a mat down just the other day, because if he sleeps back here, why shouldn't I sleep back here sometimes? You need a nap during work. There's just enough room. This chair is the only impediment. Anyway, if anybody watched this to the end, I'll never know, because they might have skipped to the end. Who knows? I do that sometimes when I don't want someone to get bad reads. They do a major review and put a lot into it, and I just don't have a lot to give. I'll watch some and not watch some, but I'll move the thing all the way across so that it registers as if someone watched the whole thing. You're welcome to do that, although I'll never check the stats. What the fuck do I care? This is Corona Samizdat's 4th anniversary, being celebrated a couple weeks late. I think the date of receiving the books was April 25th, 2000. So we're a little late, but we're on the way to year 5, and within the next year, expenses willing, we're going to have Philip Friedenberg's next novel, very, very, very fervently awaited, and we will have the 2 translated books, and we will be introducing you to some new authors. The next 2 books that will be out are new authors. One is named Randall Leong, The Year of the Plague Rat. That'll probably be first. And then there's a book called Assisted Living by Roberto Ontiveros, who's probably, I think, another one of these writers that I put in that category, that of these 50 writers that people should know and remember in the English literary world. And Roberto Ontiveros I think he's published a little bit. I don't think he's published a novel. I'm not sure, but he's publishing a book with us, and he will perhaps, if he's happy with everything, and we already are. We will have. Oh, and by the way, the editor is an of his book is an amateur from the Isle of Man, who's also in our movie by well, for odd reasons. And we flew him out here twice. You want to know where your book money goes? Well, cheap tickets from Isle of Man to Marco Polo. I have to drive to Venice to pick people up. And so, unless they're rich enough to fly into Trieste, which isn't all that, the airport is halfway to Venice. So, anyway, point being that all the things that are being done attract very interesting people, and that's been a great reward. Not to be corny at the end of this, I feel like I should pull my pants down and show my ass just to balance the mood of this, and well, I don't know if I knew for sure that I would get punished by I don't know, Congress, U.S. Congress. If I knew for sure that they would punish me if I pulled my pants down and showed you my ass, I would do it for the sake of it. But, with a bit of a sore back and the age I've got, and I haven't even seen my ass for several years, but that would only add to the value of showing it here, because then I can watch this, say, hey, that's what my ass looks like. Well, let's just, I'm ending on our Dada note, because our Slovene title is Kulturno društvo Zara, after Tristan, and that spirit has guided much of what we've done here, and I think is largely responsible for the success of this venture. Thank you for anything you've done and anything you will do. We have a lot of books here. I was thinking maybe I'd show you a lot of books. Here's one, another Canadian. Yeah, in a way, I love the cover, but it's hard to read it. And so, but we have it here too, and that's, someday we will look back on this and laugh. It's there. Tim Conley's stories are remarkable. Each one is a method of its own and has its life of its own. Luke Dellin, Orbo and the Godhead. We were very late with Luke's next book. I think more than a year ago I read it. It's called Neme. And I don't know why his particularly, I guess because I always know that it's going to be there and I'm going to print it. And then newer stuff comes, and I don't know. But now, after we take care of everything that's really, really, absolutely, it needs to come out. Before that, we're going to get Luke's next book out, and we got. I think we're running low on Mark Douglas's poems, but we have another volume of his poems. It's scheduled. It's on the list. And the list, as it is now, is inviolable for a change. We have to get more copies of Abundant Circuity, Oscar Submerged. I don't know. I'm only the printer. And the Solarium. And those will, after we publish the next two novels, the Assisted Living and The Year of the Plague Rat, two of which I think will be of benefit to the literary world, and I think will be very well received. After that, we get these done. We print the covers, the green covers for the black and white Cactus Boots, and then Mark Douglas and I don't know, whoever else is with him on the list. I forgot. But then Luke Dellen. Keep him in mind. Read Orbo again. Luke has this. I know he's interested in Kurt Vonnegut, and if you read his book, you won't necessarily think of Kurt Vonnegut, but his work has a natural affinity to Vonnegut. It's not the same. It's not funny at the same times in the same way, but there is that Vonnegutian inspiration. And nobody would know from reading my books, but one of the most important writers in my writing life was Kurt Vonnegut. His book Breakfast of Champions, when he out metafictioned all the metafictionals. I never thought of that at the time. I just when he's got these two characters, the novel is bringing them together, and he finds out it's going to be at this one restaurant, and so he draws himself and he puts himself in the restaurant, and he in the book he puts himself there because he wants to see what happens. He's been waiting a whole book for them to come together, and he wants to be there. Quite natural. And basically what that taught me is you can do that whatever the fuck you want if you write fiction. Now, goodbye.